to just basically react to things, how to respond to them, how to basically be in their space so that you can impact them. All right, I see you. So just let me know quickly where you're tuning in from. I'm Joy from Lagos, Nigeria. All right, Rosa, I see you. Rose, sorry, I see you. I'm looking forward to you learning as well. All right, who else is here? Tell us where you're tuning in from this evening, morning, afternoon. All right, it's Daisy from Abuja. You're welcome. Dorcas from Obomosho. Wow, we're already 105 people in the room already. So if you have other people that you know should be a part of this webinar, please tell them that we have started and we are about to take off. All right. Damlola from Lagos, I see you. Success from Port Harcourt, I see you. I see you. Gifty from Cote d'Ivoire. Beatrice from Port Harcourt. Tando from South Africa. Welcome, welcome. Okay, I see Rose from Malawi. Eliana from South Africa. Rebecca from Adamawa. Sungai from Zimbabwe. I hope I got your name correctly. Daniel from Gombe. It's so good to have all of you joining us. There is a lot of things that we are going to learn today. I'm excited. I don't know about you, but I am excited to be here. As we are typing where we're tuning in from, I want somebody to just let me know, what is one thing you're looking forward to in today's meeting? What are your expectations? What is something you're looking forward to in today's meeting and beyond? Trust me, this is a webinar that you will be glad you joined in. This is something that is actually going to elevate your team coaching game. So I would encourage you for the next 2 hours, just make sure that your attention is here. All right. So start whatever it is that might distract you. Start gradually easing it off, because this is a room that you actually want to be in and interact with. All right. So I see you. I see all of you. Wycliffe from Kenya, Victor from Jos, Dino from South Africa, Mbali from South Africa, Lady Lisa from Ghana, Hansen from Abuja, Hilda from Uganda, Safe Steps Training Services. All right, we start from Abuja. Welcome, everyone. You are welcome. You are welcome to tonight's meeting. Okay, well, we have a whole lot of people interacting from different continents, different nations, different states. It's so good to be here. All right, so let me just go and read what some of us are expecting tonight. So Zinzi says, my expectation is to hear more about teens' behavior and emotional health and support. All right. Alice wants to know how to communicate effectively with teenagers. Gifty says, I'm here to learn how to accompany my daughter through her teenage years. I know how that can be. Well done, Mama. It's not easy to be mom to a teenager. So well done, congratulations, and you're in for a good time. Olani Pekun says, I want to learn how to interact with the teens and get them interested. Florence is tuning in from Abuja. Sungai wants to know how to effectively communicate with teenagers. Tandy from Zimbabwe. We have Basam Mohammed from Ethiopia. Abigail wants to know about how to interact with teens. All right. So please, one thing I would appeal to you, or please let us change our name to how you want me to address you. Change your name to your real name, or to a name that you want us to remember. So if you have cause to interact with somebody outside this room, so that we can say, hey, I met you on that Zoom call. All right. So there's what? All right. So handy tools for successful teens conversation. Alao wants to learn more about how to communicate and relate with teens as a teacher. Tell me about it. I know what it means to teach teenagers, all right? So you are in the right space. I can assure you are in the right space. Abigail from Akwa Ibom. Paul is from Ibadan, and he wants to learn how to connect better with teens and learn about financial literacy method to impact them. I like that you have narrowed down your focus. Restad says she wants to learn how to really connect with teenagers and know their behavior. All right. Mrs. Gideon says, I want to learn how to effectively communicate with my teenage daughter and sons. Sons. Well done. Well done. Dino wants to understand how they think so that he can better engage with them. All right. So I'm going to read something very quickly. All right. I want us to pay attention. If you can type very fast, please help me type it. But I want us all to be here. And I know that maybe at some point at some point in time we might have come across this particular situation. So I want to know what you're going to do, all right? So I just want to get us talking a bit in the room. So I'm going to read out something, and you tell me what it is that you're going to do if this happened to you before. All right. So okay, which scenario will I give you? Okay, so. Thank God we have those that are teaching things, those that are parents, and some way or the other, we all interact with teenagers. So let me ask you this question. Imagine that you tell your teenager, whether your student, your child, or your auntie's child, or somebody, a teenager, you tell them, go in there, get up your book, and submit it. All right. So it was a clear instruction. And then this teenager looks at you from, that kind of look for for those of us this part of the world, how they look at you from, like, they're sizing, they look at you from head to toe, and they just hiss. What are you going to do? I'll give you 4 options. What will you do? Would you go aura for aura and raise your voice, repeat the instruction, go aura for aura, whatever aura for aura means, if it's dragging their head back, if it's whatever, what would that be? All right. B is, are you going to, threaten to punish them immediately? C is not none of the above. And D is report them to somebody higher. Did we get that? Did we get that? All right. So let me see your answer. Let me read your answers. Imagine that you are a teacher or a mom or a dad, whatever, and you tell your teenager, take your book and take it to the room or submit it. And they just look at you from like head to toe, as in to size you up and just hiss, or they don't really say anything, they just ignore. What are you going to do? Rosalie said she's gonna go over for over, whatever it is. So tell me why you're choosing your answer. I'm a teenager, so C, okay? Coach N says none of the above. All right, C, none of the above. Okay, all right. I think we have people that. So those of you that said none of the above that I have mentioned, what would be your answer? Oh yeah, tell us. If none of the above, if your answer is not what I have called, or tell us what that none of the above will be. So I said A, go aura for aura, whatever aura for aura is, you match them. Like you look at them, you size them up. Maybe you can even tell them something that will make them, some words you tell a teenager, they will think about their life for 2 days, never to dare you. Will you do that? That's A. B is, you maybe drag them, you pull them back. C, none of the above, nothing I'm going to list. Or then D is you report them to somebody else. So what is it? Okay, so the dummy of before. Danola said dummy of before will give them aura. So it is AURA, aura for aura. All right. But now I will just report them and say it again. All right. Wyclef said report to somebody higher to have to talk to him or her. Speak sense on the importance of studying. The Lexi say, I will ignore them at the moment, connect with them later, and tell them the behavior was not profitable, but destructive for their future self. I will educate them calmly. I would like to know what that would be. Okay. Adara Moye says, indifferent. Subisiso says, aura for aura, because I will be heated up with anger that will even make me, please, I like that. I've been in this situation before. My early years as NYC, for those of us in Nigeria, compulsory NYC service, I was at my wit's end. I had spoken, I had won, and this guy had the guts to talk after I had told him, do not say anything. Oh, no. I was angry. I went aura for aura that day, but thank God we know better. And we have learned that was the first and the last time. Anyway, let me not say much. Aura for aura, because I will be heated up with anger that will even make me slap them. God help you that you don't slap and hurt somebody. I will pray for God's guidance, because what are you if not pencil in the hands of your creator? Coach Ernest says, I will give the teen a space and return some other time for a conversation. Sophie is speaking in the pidgin language. They're not born her well in the first place. Come on. All right, that is the aura for aura, bands. Okay, Daisy says, if it's a chore, I will do it myself and use it as an example for some other day. Zinzi says, I chose C because I don't know the reason behind the attitude he or she is giving. I would like to have time alone to discuss his or her behavior peacefully. Paul says, I will gain her attention and find out why and what is happening, since she has not been of such behavior. There was no context. Do we know the behavior of this person? Trisha says, none of the above. Repeat myself and wait for the next action. None of the above. I will do nothing. That's what Olufunke says. All right. Thank you all. Thank you all. I've met several teenagers. I will allow her go, but later call her back to speak to her about the consequences. So Kenny says, for me, if it's my child, I will give aura for aura. But if other teenagers, I'm coaching. So why would you deal with your child that way? And why would you deal softly with another teenager? What is good for the, for the geese is good for the gander, huh? So Violet said, I experienced scenarios that are worse than this because of where I'm located, but they have come to love me. We would love to hear some of those experiences. All right, so I'm sure that if I ask another question, we would all have different ways that we are likely to respond to the teenagers in whatever situation that it is that they are giving us. But this is what, this is what I want us to say. All right, this is how I want us to think. Thinking about your action. All right, thinking about what is the best case scenario for that particular situation. So that is one of the things that we are going to be looking at, what to do in situations like that. Before we get into the gist of why we are here, we're going to be taking a testimonial. I don't know if the person for testimonial is available, just to share a bit of our experience on what it has been like taking this particular course. All right. Please, you can unmute and speak. Musa, you're welcome.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am. Good evening, everyone. My name is Mala Musa, and I was a participant in the course last year, the one that ended in November. So my expectation for the course generally was I wanted confidence. I'd been working with teens for like 10 years now. I've even taken trainings, little trainings here and there, but I don't have this confidence. And sometimes I feel lost, like.
Mala, we lost you there. We lost you. Please come back. While we wait for her, I don't know if Pearl, are you around? Pearl Ella? Pearl, if you're here, please. You can unmute and speak. All right, Pearl.
Good evening. Good evening. Okay. So I was in the last course, like Mala Musa said, the one that ended in November. So basically, my primary reason for joining the program was because I have two things, 13 and 15. And I needed to understand them better. There were some things that were beginning to happen that I felt that I needed to be equipped for. Then I also, where I work, we had some interns that were teenagers. I know some of them, the way they behave is almost like you saying that they don't have home training. It's almost like you saying they don't, this one. In fact, sometimes you just say this one is a spoiled person. So I needed to understand them better. I needed to know how to communicate and support because, of course, in the house, I've said some things So in my mind, it was like I was going to get do's and don'ts. So do this or don't do that. But honestly, it was beyond do's and don'ts. The program, it opened my eyes. It opened my eyes to understand that things do not think the way we think. What they need is different from what we perceive that they need. And that more like every small change is important to them. It was more like learning teenagers all over. Now getting to understand them and getting to put yourself in their shoes. And so the course was was a huge difference for me. The sessions were practical, the sessions were engaging, but I won't lie, the sessions were challenging. At a point, I just felt like, chase my money. Maybe I should just back out of this, whatever, because it was challenging. And the more you go deeper, the more you see some things that can be scary. So many things, so many things. But I can say that it was worth it. It was worth it. It made me also start seeing myself differently. So now I don't just conclude that a teen do not have home training or whatever. I look beyond. In fact, after the training, something happened. My daughter was to tell me something and she came and so she wants to tell me something, but she wrote it in a book. So I took the book. When I read it, I was like, why didn't you come and tell me? She said, I didn't want you to shout. Is it some of those people that said aura for aura? Me, I can give aura for aura. I'm a typical African parent. I'm not in the Gen Z era. So you know when you're not in the Gen Z era. So she was like, I was scared you were going to shout, you were going to condemn, you were going to whatever. I felt bad. I felt relief. I felt so many emotions at once because she could have not told me. She had her fears. So it made me, because I've attended this program, I had to know how to tackle the issue. And basically, after the program, there has been a real shift. A real shift. The way I talk to people and all that. I did assessment for someone, and she was like, this is the first time somebody is doing this with me. I just said, probably this is the first time somebody has seen the need in you to do this. So if you ask me if you're to sign up for any program, not because I've gone through the program, but because I've seen the changes in me, I am still evolving, I'm still changing, I'm still work in progress. But if you're to sign up for this program, you can almost get your money even before the end of the program. I'm not flattering. You can almost get your money even before the end of the program. The program also made me understand that sometimes the problem is not with the teens, it's even with the parents. Because I had a scenario where I was to do an assessment and the parent just told me that, no, this part of the assessment, we are not going to tackle it. So I understood that sometimes the teenager was willing to answer, but the parent was not willing to allow the teenager answer. So it means sometimes the problem might not even be with the teenagers. With the parents, we are shielding them too much, and you need to be part of the program to really experience it as it.
That's it. Simple and plain from the horse's mouth. You need to be part of the program. So if you know that there is somebody that the way this person is going with the teenagers in their life, the way they're handling them, you know that it's not end well, get them to be part of today's meeting. I can assure you that they will thank you for it. All right. So Mala, are you available now? Let's just take you for 1 minute if you can share.
Okay. Yeah, sorry, I was kicked out. All right. So for me, I was actually expecting to build my confidence. I was actually expecting something beyond my previous experiences, so something a little more professional. So when I got in, I began to see that, every teenager's behavior is rooted from 4 or 5 main things. Like everything they show you has just those basic roots. From there, you begin to tackle, and when you know the root of a problem, it's like half solved already. That worked for me. Their turbulence and everything, you will get the way to actually do a one-on-one with them. There's a template for that. Different of communication. Those are asking of, I want to learn how to communicate with them and make them open up. Well, here you'll be taught different methods of communicating, depend on the kind of teenager, depend on what you think the root problem is, depend on their behavior. And then play therapy. Oh, that one was so amazing. In fact, there are so many things. What about the assessment that you just take, like Coach Ala was saying now, you take that assessment and it works like magic. Like you just go through it, and the method of doing the whole thing. Before I knew, I'm reading numbers. I'm trying to diagnose a teenager through numbers. It was just amazing for me. Like, this is the first time. And one of the teenagers I diagnosed, I accessed. When I called her down, I wanted to do it face to face. So I called her and I'm like, okay, I was reading the results, or the report of the assessment, and she was like, very true. Very true. Like, she was just kind of surprised. How do you know all these things? So it's amazing. I don't want to waste your time, but really it's intense. I'm not going to hide that. It's intense. But if you really want a teen coaching something that is a real deal, I think you should go for this. It's intense. It will stretch you, but you'll come out stronger and more confident. And I would recommend it for anyone who has something for teenagers. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mala. Thank you so much. She has said it is intense, but it's definitely worth it, because if you would elevate your teen coaching game, if you would improve and see results in how you relate with teenagers, so that you're not just talking at them, but you're talking with them to find solution to the situation that they may be presenting to you, then this is where you should be. All right. So I would encourage you, please stay through, stay back, ask questions, because you will definitely learn from today. All right, so we are moving now to the main session, okay? And to take us on this learning journey is a person that I respect a whole lot, a person that I've learned from, a person that I can assure you that when you listen to, light bulbs would come up. Things that you would not have seen, or things that you might have looked at from the surface, you would begin to have a deeper understanding to, just ordinary words. All right, this is somebody that he is the principal consultant. So before I tell you his name, I'm going to tell you about him. All right, so he's a principal consultant of Life Affairs International. And one thing that stands out a lot from him is that he's a prolific speaker. Some of you might have seen him on shows. You might have seen him talk about relationships. You might have seen him talk about teenagers. He's somebody that he has love for personal development, and he's not just somebody that is just talking from head knowledge. He's somebody that is trained. There's evidence when he speaks. He's somebody that has the knowledge. He's trained as a psychologist. He has a master's degree in clinical psychology as well. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you're not too busy, if your hands are available, I know that we are online, but let us see your emoji. Make welcome for one of our finest coaches, Coach Miracle Ioma. Welcome, sir. Please, let's appreciate him. Let's appreciate him.
All right. Yeah, I'm appreciating myself as well. Thank you very much, everybody. Good day, everyone. It's good to be here. Can you hear me loud and clear? Am I loud and clear enough? All right, beautiful. All right. Yeah, so it's good to be here. I've been on the sidelines, listening to the things we've been talking about, things we've been saying, and I'm super excited that we are super excited about today's webinar. And again, if you have someone around you who is a teens coach, a prospective teens coach, even a religious leader, anyone who has anything to maybe who owns a school, teacher, anyone who has anything to do with teenagers, I want to encourage you to reach out to them, send them the link so that they can join this webinar right now, because it's about to go down. Yes, it's about to go down. We'll just get straight to it because of time. We want to be able to finish this maybe in the next 1 hour and a few minutes. So without further ado, I will just go ahead to share my screen. Thank you so much, Coach Joy, for that introduction. At least you have an idea of the person speaking to you today. Yeah. So I'll go ahead and share my screen, and then we can start to talk about mastering the teen coaching game, because really that's what today's webinar is about. We want to learn how to master the teen coaching game, right? Because teenagers, they're very interesting people, right? And a lot of the times people find it very difficult to relate with them, to coach them, to help them, and all of that. So that's why we are definitely having this webinar today. So once again, welcome to the Teen Coaching Game webinar. I'm super excited to be speaking with us today. So at the end of this class, you would have, number one, discovered the opportunities that exist in the teen coaching space. Two, you would have been able to unravel the critical challenging areas teens are struggling to navigate and why they are struggling in those areas. Number three, you would have mastered 5 of the 10 irrefutable laws of raising a teenager. And number four, you'd have become exposed to the best template to accelerate your success rate across the globe. So it doesn't matter where you're joining from, whether from Europe, North or South America, the United States, anywhere else in Africa or here in Nigeria, wherever it is you're joining us from, you would absolutely benefit from this webinar, because the things we're sharing are globally recognized. Behavior is a human phenomenon, and it cuts across board, whether it is you are in America or you're in Africa, wherever it is. Behavior is something that cuts across board, and that's part of what we're going to learn today. So I want to encourage you to find a quiet spot today so that you can benefit from this webinar. Yeah, so find a quiet place so that you can benefit, you can listen. I know sometimes when we do webinars, it's possible someone is here but they are not here. It's possible someone is cooking, someone is watching football, someone is having an interaction or chatting away while they are here. So I want to encourage you not to be that someone. Be here and be here fully for the next 1 hour or so. And then if you can, put on every form of distraction so that you can just benefit from the things that we are going to be sharing. Just like Joy said earlier, you want to change your name to the name on your Zoom profile to what you would like us to address you with. Yeah, very important. And then so a good place to start would be to share, my teenage life and coaching journey, how it all started. So I was a young man who grew up, who was born in a city called Ajegule. I don't know if you've heard of Ajegule before. Would you type yes in the chat box? If you have not, type no in the chat box. If you've heard of Ajegule before, Type yes if you haven't. Type no. I just want to know those of us who have maybe heard of Ajegule. Okay. So I'm saying yes, no, yeah. All right. So let me tell you what Ajegule is. Right. Ajegule, of course, is it's a place in Lagos State, Nigeria, that is known for notorious behavior, that is known as a ghetto where a lot of things happen, right? And that is really what Ajegule is known for all over the world. People, in fact, outside of Nigeria I've heard about Ajegule, and people sometimes even dread going there. Now it's a lot different than it used to be, but when I was growing up in Ajegule, it used to be really notorious. A lot of things used to go on, criminal activities. In fact, where we used to stay, just at the back of where we used to live, there was like a spot where young boys and even girls came to do drugs, and a lot of criminal activity. So I saw those things growing up. I saw instances where people, fought, caught themselves. So street fights were something that was very normal for me while growing up, because I saw it every day. In fact, in the compound where we lived, people were fighting because we lived in a one room. Yeah, there's a difference between a one room and a one-room apartment. Yeah, one-room apartment is an apartment that has kitchen, toilet, and a bathroom, and all of that. But the room that we lived in did not have any of that. So every other person who lived in that compound shared one toilet and one bathroom. That's the kind of environment I grew up in, right? But then somehow I met with a young man at the time. I was, of course, in my I was in my teenage years when I met him. My sisters had invited me for an event, right? And I'd always declined. Why did I decline? Because I've always been heady and kind of stubborn. There was really no reason why I didn't go, except that they were inviting me. I don't know if you've been in that situation where you want to do something until they tell you to do it, and now you don't want to do it anymore. That was the situation I found myself in. So because they were inviting me and saying things like, "Oh, it's because you don't come for this program, that is why you are behaving the way you're behaving." I said, "Oh, for that reason, I'm never going to attend this program." So I declined attending this program. But one fateful day, I was just at home on a Sunday evening, because the program held every Sunday evening. So I was just at home on a Sunday evening doing nothing. So I just thought to myself, okay, let me go and see what this program is all about. Now, of course, the pressure of attending that program had subsided. So this time around, it was of my own volition. I decided to attend the program. So I went there, and that was the first day I met my lifelong mentor, Mr. Praiseful, that some of you might know. In that event, he was speaking, the city of Ajegule, speaking to the young people gathered in that place, and he was speaking. I was seated somewhere at the back listening to him, and just listening to him, I was impressed about how well he spoke and the things he spoke about. And ladies and gentlemen, that began my journey of transformation, because I then began to think about my life and to say, really, do I want to end up like all these people that I see in my environment? And when sometimes because I go to Ajugule once in a while again, just to check out the environment, to do some work there and all of that, I still see some of the people that I left maybe 15 years ago there. Yeah, they are still right there. Some of them still doing the same thing. So it was that day I took my destiny in my hands, and I decided to change my life. And I continued to attend that program every single Sunday for many, many, many years. Yes. In fact, for the first maybe 3 years, I never missed one single Sunday. I went every day. I went every week rather for that event. Right. And right there, I was also inspired to begin to coach other teenagers like me. So the passion was born, and I began my teen coaching journey. I began to pour into the people in my environment. I remember we started friendship centers at some point where we'll gather young people in different locations and just teach them, just coach them, and all of that, And the rest they say is history, right? And we are here today, and God has helped us to be able to help a lot of teenagers and teen coaches alike over the years. So just think about it. Imagine there was nobody like a Mr. Praiseful who was pouring into teenagers. I think about it sometimes and I wonder how my life would have turned out, because it looked like my life hung in the balance, and it was just meeting this person that changed the whole story. So think about it for a second. What if you were equipped to help that teenager out there on your street, in your country, right? In your community, in your church, in your school? What if you had the technical know-how of really how to equip them, how to coach them, how to help them? It's unimaginable, because I usually like to talk about the power of one and how that chain is change happens as a chain process. So there's a chain process of change. To say that when you impact a teenager, an individual, you are not just impacting that individual. It might look like, oh, it's one person, but within that one person are hundreds, thousands, and possibly hundreds of thousands connected to that person. So think about it. Imagine the number of people I've personally impacted. If I was to quantify the number of teenagers alone that my life has been a blessing to, my life has touched, it would be in many, many thousands, many, many thousands. Now, that could have happened because there was somebody who I met who also poured into me. And now thousands of people are benefiting from that transformation. So in the same way, you coaching a teenager, you impacting a teenager out there could be you changing thousands and thousands of people without you even knowing. And that's why I indulge you, I implore you to take this very, very seriously. Now, I want to ask you a question. Who were you as a teenager? Who were you as a teenager? I can tell you for free who I was. For the earlier part of my teen years, I was a stubborn boy. I was a bad boy. I did little things, as a teenager. I was somebody who struggled with identity crisis. That's who I was as a teenager. So would you be gracious enough to tell me in a word, phrase, clause, or sentence, who were you as a teenager? I would like to just read a few comments if you don't mind. Who were you as a teenager? Gid says, I was very rebellious as a teenager. Zinzi says, I was pain. I was pain, I can imagine. Helen says, I was obedient. Oh, that's good. Your type is not very many. Zoom user, please, can you change your name? I was very hyperactive child. Tando says, I was lonely. Violet says, I was a blindly obedient. That's interesting. Daisy says, I was quite opinionated. Kenny says, churchy. Oyeronke says, I became a mother. Wow, as a teenager. You can imagine. Somebody says, traumatic. Social. Yeah, beautiful. I like the vulnerability in this class already. Wow. Thank you so much for sharing, guys. Thank you so much for sharing. Yeah. And now, thank God, we're all sharing our experiences. And that's even to tell you that sometimes we judge teenagers too early. Because it's possible to look at the teenager right now who's misbehaving, who has missed his or her way, and condemn them and judge them and make it look like they won't amount to anything. But if you look at your own life, you would see that if you could pull through in the many ways that you have, then maybe those guys also had a chance. Yeah. Maybe those guys also had a chance. So I'll ask you the next question. What happened in your days as a teenager? Okay, no, answer the third one, which is how well were you handled as a teenager? How well do you think you were handled as a teenager? How well did your handlers? So when I say your handlers now, I'm talking about your caregivers, your parents, your teachers, your siblings, all of those people around you. How well were you handled as a teenager? Okay, Coach Enes says I was an unguided teen. ITEL, can you change your name? Change your name. Click on your profile, change your name. So I won't be calling you ITEL. I lack guidance. Zoom user again. They were overprotective. I was handled with strict allows or allow Dorcas rather. Florence says I was often misunderstood. Kemi Sola says I was only taught to not get pregnant. Gift says I was largely misunderstood. For Lasha, they says fairly well with guided liberty. Beautiful, I love that. Brian says I was over restricted. Ruth says I was overprotected by my parents, but largely misunderstood by family and friends. Tando says they were supportive, yet I didn't see that. Oh, okay. Chioma says careless, unguided, abused, banned. Kenny says thank you, my mommy. She helped me in that season. Timmy says strict and overprotective. So you could see how we're all handled as teenagers. Yeah. Guess what? A question I can also ask, which might not be here in my slide, is how are you handling the teenagers around you? Yeah, because a lot of people are actually handling teenagers around them the way they were handled. So, for example, if you were overprotected, it's very possible that you're overprotecting the teenagers around you right now. Sometimes we do that without even knowing. Yeah. Do that without even knowing, because that's all we have known to do based on our upbringing. So look at the top issues plaguing adolescents. This was by UNICEF in 2021. Eating disorder, obesity, substance abuse, depression, mental health disorder. A lot of teenagers are having mental health issues now more than ever before. Substance use disorder, of course, we know that. Anxiety disorder, school bullying, peer pressure, violence, anorexia, school refusal, gender dysphoria, conduct disorder, attention deficit hyperactive disorder, ADHD, bipolar disorder, behavioral disorders, oppositional defiant disorder. This is another word for stubborn. Those people who are stubborn, non-conformist, who do the opposite of what you say, who are very disobedient. Yeah, many of them are under this oppositional defiant disorder. Mood disorders, menstrual problems, sexual abuse, behavioral problems in adolescents. Now, these are the issues that plague teenagers. And if you even mirror these with how the challenges you also faced as a teenager, you would see that you some of these things describe the things that you also went through. So the teenagers are the world's most endangered group at the moment as of 2022. around 40% of the population was aged 15 years and younger. 16%, about 1.3 billion of the world's population, are teenagers. Without the right guidance, they have the capacity to self-implode and set the world ablaze. It is a crisis situation. In fact, of course, I'm sure you'd have read or seen it somewhere that about 70% of Africa's population are less than 25 years old. 70% of our population are less than 25 years old. Yeah, meaning that they are either adolescents or teenagers. So which just tells you that we have a lot of work to do. That is why this, if you want to look at it from the business perspective, this is one of the most viable things you can begin to do right now, to be able to coach things. If you want to look at it from the impact perspective, this is where you should also be, because the population is here. The population is here. A lot of people are teenagers. And guess what? There's no guidance. There are no guidance. Parents don't know what to do many times. Yeah. Parents, are clueless about the ever-changing world, what is going on, how to catch up with how fast the world is moving. It looks like the world is moving past them and don't even know what they should do about it. Now, let's quickly talk about 5 core global teen challenges that require teen coaching. Number 1 is digital pressure and social media anxiety. Digital pressure and social media anxiety. What's the challenge here? With the rise of social media platforms, teenagers feel the constant need to present a curated, perfect version of themselves or their lives. They might deal with issues like cyberbullying, fear of missing out, FOMO, and the pressure of maintaining an ideal image online. So this is a challenge that exists right now, where teenagers want to feel among. Teenagers want to, they want to belong. They want to do what everybody's doing. And you won't blame them, because even adults face the same challenges. Yeah. There's what is called conformity theory. If you have time, you want to watch some videos on conformity theory. If you had time, I would have maybe played one for us. But the conformity theory just simply says that people will follow other people when most people are doing the same thing. In other words, people will conform to social norms, and social norms are usually defined by how much or how many people are engaged in a particular behavior. Yeah. So if the total consensus right now is that people should begin to eat through their nose, you realize that many people would align and begin to eat through their nose, even if eating through their nose is wrong, because most people that they see are eating through their nose. Yeah. And social media is amplifying this right now. In fact, the other day, I don't know if anybody saw the Shakira challenge. Did anybody see that? If you did, type yes. If no, type no. There's a challenge right now they're doing on TikTok, I think, where it's called the Shakira challenge. The challenge is a group of teenagers actually displaying their nudity. Young people displaying their nudity on TikTok. Yeah. Some of them are showing their nudes. Some of them are even showing where they are having sex, and they are putting it out there. So you see how these things is a snowball effect. So it's affecting people, and people are conforming to the norm because, if I don't do it, I'm going to feel, I'm not going to feel among. I'm going to feel like I'm a part of this social group, and I really want to feel among. So there is digital pressure, and there's a fear of missing out. Yeah. So why is this? Unlike previous generations, today's teens grew up in a world dominated by digital platforms. Every moment can be captured, shared, scrutinized, leading to added stress. How well then can you concentrate? Think about it. Think about it. That is why the challenges of this generation, Generation Z, but even Generation Z, they are even learning now. Generation Alpha, and then the Beta that is coming after them, are nothing compared to the challenges that we had as millennials. So if you're a baby boomer here or Generation X, nothing compared. Because number one, this generation, they are digital natives, meaning that they were born into digitalization. They were born into social media. For many of us, we had to learn social media, but these guys are not learning it. They were born into it, and there are challenges that come with that. Let me give you an example. When I was growing up, it was an Herculean task to watch pornography. If you wanted to watch pornography as a teenager, when I was growing up, you needed layers upon layers of problem-solving skills to watch pornography. And I'll tell you, number one, if you wanted to watch pornography, you needed to have a TV. Your family needed to have a TV. And not everybody had TV. When I was growing up, not everybody had TV. Only the rich had TV. Then there were people who had black and white TV. There were others who had color television. But you need to have TV, whether it is black and white or color, whatever it is. Then number two, you also need to have DVD, because it is possible to have a television without having a DVD player. So you needed television. You also needed a DVD player. Two. Then number three, you also needed to buy the pornographic cassette that you were going to play. So, and if you were a teenager, if you're a young person going to buy a pornographic cassette, the person selling it might not even might not sell it to you. If he might chase you away and say, what are you doing here? Where are your parents? Who asked you to buy this thing? Might chase you away and not even sell it to you. So you have the third challenge. And you might not even have the money to buy it. Challenge number three. And then even if all of this plays out, and you have TV, you have DVD, you were able to buy the cassette, you maneuvered your way, you have the money to buy the cassette and all of that, you also needed to play it at a time when nobody was home. Challenge number four. And then number five, you also needed to pray at the power holding company. In Nigeria, it was DayPower, right? At the time, provider supplied power at the time you want to play it. Then number six, you also needed to pray that when you are playing it, the power holding company doesn't strike and interrupt power. Because if they strike and interrupt power, the cassette gets stuck in the DVD. And God help you, power is not restored until your parents get back home. And the DVD of those days had a feature that was known as last seen. So meaning that when power is restored, the DVD is put on and the TV is put on, it starts playing from where it stopped. So thinking about all of this, you will just say, I beg, it's possible, let's just forget about this pornography of a thing. So the reason many people didn't struggle with pornography in my time was not because of self-control. It was most times a result of lack of options. But a teenager, anyone born in this age and time, he doesn't need DVD, he doesn't need TV, he doesn't need permission from anybody. All he needs is a smartphone. And with a smartphone, he can have access on the click of a finger on thousands of pornographic content. So you see that the struggles we had are not the same struggles this will have. These guys have a struggle of options. They have a lot of options. That is why it looks like some of them don't even have the tenacity, right, to go through challenges, because they have options. So they can tell you, for example, that if you talk to me that way, I'm going to leave this organization, and they're going to leave because they have options. It wasn't the same when I was growing up. Yeah, it wasn't the same. So you see that they are grappling with a lot of challenges. I can give you another example. when I was growing up, when we were doing Benedictine service, right? And then you are telling everyone goodbye. You meant it because you knew that you might never see those classmates again. You might never see them again. Yeah. And it was an emotional moment during Benedictine service. But right now, when teenagers are doing Benedictine service, it's not emotional. You know why? Because they know, oh, I might not see you physically, but I'm still going to see you on social media. I'm going to see you on Facebook, on WhatsApp, on Instagram, on TikTok, on Snapchat. I'm going to see you on these platforms. So it's almost like we're not going to miss each other. Yeah. But guess what? There's added pressure. Meaning that when somebody, for example, gained admission to study in the university, in my time, nobody knew. So there was no pressure. When somebody got married, maybe a few people will know. When somebody gave birth or did not give birth, we did not know. When somebody went abroad, we didn't know. But now the dynamics have changed. If somebody is even traveling from one state to the other, you will post it. People right now even go to airports and use those cars, those fancy new cars on the airport to snap and make it look like it's their car. And then somebody else watching it is pressurized. I remember a young boy of about 17 years old came to me and said, sir, I am not happy. I said, why are you not happy? He said, my friends, I'm making money. They are lodging in a hotel and I'm not making money. A 17-year-old boy. I said, what do you need money for right now? You should be going to school. You should be thinking about academics, education, your future. Guess what? It's added pressure and social media anxiety. So how well can people concentrate? How well? Even as adults, you are struggling. So think about it. If you are struggling as an adult, how much more will a teenager struggle? Because some of us, if you are being honest here, you know that you are struggling with keeping up with social media. You are struggling with screen time because you are some of us, we sleep with our phone, wake up with our phone. We are always on the screen, which is why sleep problems are on the high, anxiety issues on the high, depression is on the high, addiction issues are on the high because of excessive screen time. So if you could be grappling with all of these challenges, how much more a teenager, how much more an adolescent? Number 2, self-identity or identity and self-expression. Identity and self-expression. What's the challenge? Teens grapple with understanding who they are, who they believe in, and how they fit into the world. And it's normal. You know why? Because the teenage years is a transition year. The teenage years are transition years. So they are still trying to understand themselves, which is why a lot of the people who are dealing with gender dysphoria, for example, a lot of people who, are grappling with their sexuality and all of that, is all started in their teenage years. It started in their teenage years for most of them. Because they didn't have guidance, they didn't have people to counsel them, to really guide them and show them what they need to do. Yeah. So they may also be confused about sexual orientation, gender identity, personal beliefs, no thanks to the power of the media. Why? Adolescence is a natural time for self-exploration. However, with the vastness of the internet, teens are exposed to a broader range of ideas and identities, which can be both empowering and confusing. So like I said, one of the challenges that they have is options. They have a lot of options. Yeah, even gender now, there are many options. There are a lot of options. So, and like I said, it is because the teen years is their transition years. And everyone, I wrote an article one time, and the title of the article was "Good Things Can Have Bad Effects." And what I was trying to say is that things that are seemingly good can actually have bad effects if not properly prepared for. Yeah. And many times, transition periods, even though good, could have bad effects if not properly prepared for and handled. Every transition period in our life, for example, if someone is traveling abroad, That's a good thing. We should be happy and excited about it. But if you don't properly prepare for changing environments, traveling abroad, living abroad, you will discover that your life might become more miserable abroad than it was inward. Yeah. We've seen people, for example, who are dealing with who their marriages got destroyed because they traveled abroad. We've seen people who are dealing with mental health issues because they traveled abroad. Yeah. We have seen people who are grappling with self-identity because they traveled abroad. Is traveling abroad a good thing? Yes, but it's a transition period that needs to be prepared for. Another example, that transition period is getting married. Is getting married a good thing? Yes. But if not properly prepared for, it could have bad effects. We've seen that people get married and then they become more miserable than they were before they got married. Another example is having a new baby. As good as that is, if not properly prepared for, can be devastating. Yeah, I've seen people who mothers who have had postpartum depression, postpartum psychosis. We've seen couples grow apart because a baby came into the picture. That's a transition period. And if you don't know how to manage it, it could have bad effects. Even something as good as promotion could have bad effects if not properly prepared for. In fact, I was speaking about this in an organization where an individual stood up to say, so I have something to say. I said, okay, go ahead. He said, in this very organization where we are right now, I was promoted. I was promoted in this organization. Guess what? I wasn't prepared for it. My life came on miserable in that new position that I had to ask them to demote me. He asked them to demote him. The MD confirmed it that he was actually demoted because he didn't prepare for the promotion. So if adults can grapple with transition periods, how much more teenagers who are moving into puberty, into discovering themselves without guidance, without proper mentoring and coaching, they will make bad choices and you won't blame them for it. So they struggle with identity and self-expression. It's one of the challenges that they struggle with. Number 3 is mental health stigma. Ms. Gideon said the pressure is too much. Pressure is getting worse. Mental health stigma. What's the challenge? While awareness about mental health issues have grown, many people just find it hard. So let me know because of time, because we need to finish this in maybe 21 minutes. So let me know. Spend time reading. Now there are challenges around mental health with teenagers. I just said a moment ago that right now teenagers are grappling with a lot of mental health challenges much more than ever before. Adolescents are struggling with these things. Yeah. Why is this so? It is so for many reasons. Number one is they are becoming more aware. So there's a lot more awareness about mental health now than there used to be. Number two is that the adversity quotient. What's adversity quotient? The ability for people to deal with adversity has reduced now than it used to be. Yeah. So the older generation have more grit, more tenacity, right, to deal with challenges than the teens and the adolescents of today. Yeah. And because of that, they are having to grapple with a lot more challenges, mental health issues than the previous generation. So you talk to a teenager right now, he's already crying. No emotional intelligence. Yeah. In fact, I was called to speak in a school for a few days. And what was the reason? They said that they needed their students to develop tenacity because a lot of them were too fragile emotionally and mentally. So these are the challenges that we are going through. Number 4 now. There's academic and future pressures. Yeah. So the competition for college education is on the increase, job opportunities, right? Extracurricular activities. Now, teens have to grapple with a lot of these things. So they are doing so much at the same time, right? Yeah, the job market is also changing, and they have to meet up with that as well. It's part of the challenges that they're dealing with. Now, just opening your eyes to see the potentials, because wherever there are problems, there are also opportunities. The Chinese word for problem is the same word for opportunities. So in Chinese, when you say problem, you're also saying opportunities. So this challenge we are sharing is to help you see that there are innumerable opportunities in the teen coaching space that you can explore, that you can begin to maximize. That's what we're trying to say. Number 5. Is communication barriers with parents. Yeah. Like I said, a lot of parents are not changing with the times. A lot of parents are not adapting. A lot of parents are not evolving. So sometimes it can be difficult. It can be really difficult for teenagers to communicate with their parents. Sometimes parents are hitting a brick wall. They come to us, they tell us that I don't know how to get through to my child. But a woman came to me one time and said, my daughter locks herself in her room almost all day, speaks to almost nobody, because there is a communication gap. And why is that? Why is there a communication gap? Because a lot of parents don't even understand the teenagers themselves. They don't understand the adolescents. They don't understand how they're feeling. They don't understand their world. Yeah. Because teens are striving for independence and autonomy. And I usually like to say that one of the things you must learn to do in raising and coaching teenagers is you must give them a sense of autonomy. Yeah. Now, there's a difference between autonomy and a sense of autonomy. You must make them feel like they're in charge, why they are not. And how do you do that? Let me give you an example. So if I'm interacting with a teenager right now, I can say, let's say the teenager wants to, let's say he wants to make a choice on something. And I say, okay, you want to make this choice, you want to choose this, whatever that is. And I said to him or to her, so what do you think? Tell me what you think. What are the options that you have? And the teenager tells me, oh, these are the options that I have. These are the things that I want to do. I said, beautiful. Oh, I love the options that you have given. Okay. But have you considered this? And have you considered that? I think that it might be better if you do this, if you do that. Right? And so what I've done is I've bypassed the teenager's conscious resistance so that he feels like, okay, he has made the choice about what to do next, while actually I'm the one who has. Because in the midst of all of that, I said to him, so what do you think about this? Do you think it is a better option? And he said, oh yeah, I think what you have said is better. Okay, I said, okay. So do you think you will go with that? And at the end of the day, he ends up choosing my own option and relegating his. But the only reason why he has chosen my option is because I gave him a sense of autonomy. I made him feel like he was in charge, even though he wasn't. But if I come to him and say, no, what are you saying? Well, all these things you've said are rubbish. They don't make any sense. Then you are pushing that teenager away. So it's important to understand this, because teenagers want a sense of autonomy and a sense of independence. So let's quickly speak about 5 irrefutable laws of handling teenagers. 5 of the 10 irrefutable laws. Number 1 is a law of identification. You can't engage a teen thinking like an adult. You have to think like a teen. So when we say think like a teen, it doesn't mean that you should go low in your thinking. No, what we are saying is understand their world, know how they think, understand where they are coming from, how they might be feeling. That's what we are saying. So you must think like them in order to influence them. So what is your perception of your team, if I may ask you? What is your perception of your team? What is your perception of your team? And perception is judged by reception. So I will know how you perceive a person by how you receive that person. I will know how you perceive a person by how you relate with that person. So how you relate with a person is actually a pointer to how you perceive them. So for example, you can tell me, oh, I perceive my teens or my teenagers as royalties. But the question is, do you relate with them as royalties? Because if you don't, then you don't perceive them as royalties. So what's your perception of your team? Now I want to ask a question. What do you see? Can you please tell me in the chat box what you see? What do you see right now on your screen? Could you describe it for me? What do you see? I'm going to read some comments. Joseph says a teenager smoking. Allow says teenage peer pressure. Okay, a teenager smoking, wayward teenager, social media, sex, and drugs. I see different groups of teens who need help and direction. Beautiful. Now that's something I'm looking out for. You see, Adiola says, I see different groups of teenagers who need a sense of direction. You know how you see. Remember, perception determines reception. Yeah. If they need direction, it means I can provide direction for them. If I'm seeing teenagers who are useless, I'm seeing teenagers who are dealing with drugs, who are, all sorts, then I might just as well begin to relate with them that way. Because yes, while they are teenagers who are living wayward lifestyles, they are also teenagers who need direction. It's about how you're seeing it, half cup, half full or half empty. Half full or half empty. So what exactly do you see and what should you be seeing? Now I see these teenagers as people in search of identity. They don't know who they are. And that's an opportunity for me to provide them with a sense of identity, to help them discover who they are. Number 2 law, the law of flexible expectations. You can't impose rather yourself on a teen without understanding his developmental traits. Yeah, you need to understand teenagers to be able to relate with them. In fact, let me put it this way: you can't influence teenagers if you don't first understand them. You have to understand them to influence them. Yeah. You have to understand them to influence them. And if you look at the word understand, you will see it comes from 2 words, under and stand. So it means you need to stand under them. You need to understudy them to understand them. You need to stoop to conquer. And one of the first ways to understand a person or a being is observation. You need to observe them. You need to understand them. Understand their developmental traits. And that's part of what we're going to be teaching, in the proper coaching class. We're going to be teaching you the teen's brain, because the teen's brain is not the same with the adult brain. It's not the same. There are differences that you are going to find out in class about how teenagers think and how some part of their brains are not even developed yet. Yeah. So you need to understand their personality, their developmental traits. You need to understand their personality types. You need to understand their love codes. These are things that you need to understand, and these are things we are going to teach you. Because when you now understand it, then it's easier for you to influence it. When you understand them, it's easier for you to influence them. Yeah. So that's a law of flexible expectations. The 3rd law So what are the expectations you could have? They have. Number one is independence. We mentioned independence already. Opinionism. So it's normal for teenagers to be opinionated, to tell you what they think, to say their mind, always want to say their mind, right? Because now, you remember that before a child becomes a teenager, they were once children, they were once cared for, you told them everything, they were 100% dependent in that sense. As they become teenagers, they want to move from independence to automatic from dependence rather to automatic independence. So it is you who now need to understand that, okay, there needs to be interdependence right there and know how to manage that process. Then exploration and mistakes. A lot of teenagers want to explore. And because they want to explore, they're going to make mistakes. I'm sure a lot of us here, we've made mistakes from wanting to explore one thing or the other. Yeah, I remember the first time I masturbated in my life, it was because I wanted to explore. I just wanted to see because a friend of mine told me about it. And then I wanted to explore, to know what exactly he was talking about in high school, secondary school. And that's how I went to do it. Yeah. And that's part of, what the makeup of a teenager, they want to explore. And another one is collective control. Yeah. So they want to also feel like they have control over their lives. They don't want to feel like, oh, you are the one who has the only say. That is why it's important to involve teenagers as much as possible in decision-making process about things that concern them. Yeah, you can't just be deciding everything for them, about them, without letting them in. They also need to contribute. Then secrecy and codes. Yeah, it's part of the teenage years. You need to understand that during the teenage years, there's a lot of secrecy and there are codes. In fact, my mentor shared that he went somewhere and a girl and a boy, of two different parents, were having a conversation. They were using Bible verses. The boy said to the girl, "Give and it shall be given unto you." The girl said, "Good measure, pressed down, shaking together, and running over." Their parents were excited. Wow, our children are quoting scriptures. But my mentor went behind to say, "What exactly were you guys talking about? I know that was not scripture." And they opened up to say they were actually having a sexual conversation. So give means I'm going to give you a blowjob, and it shall be given unto you. So I will give you back a blowjob. Good measure, pressed down, shaking together is okay. We'll go all the way. We'll move from blowjob and then have actual intercourse. That's exactly what we're talking about. So we're speaking in codes, and it's and their parents didn't even know about it. Now, does that mean I have to learn all the codes in this world? No, you don't have to learn all the codes. Guess what? If you have an interaction, if you have a relationship, if you have rapport with them, then it's easier for you to learn these things. They will open up to you. They will teach you themselves, and they will let you into their world. That's how it works. The number three, they love creativity. You can't get their attention for long if you are not creative enough, because they get bored with anything that doesn't involve fun. So it's important for you to involve fun in trying to communicate with them, in trying to teach them, and don't be conventional. Yeah, be creative. Be creative in the way you teach them. And then number four is a lot of visualization. A teen learns faster from what he sees than what you say. So leave the talk. Create a room for expression, engagement, and you will live the life. So don't be a teacher, don't be a parent, don't be an adult that says, do what I say, but don't do what I do. They would learn by the things you say. Yeah. Have you realized, for example, that the children of teachers are usually bookworm? They like books, they like to read. Why? Because they see their parents read. They see their parents engage with academics. So it is easier for them to also engage in the same, because it's what they are seeing. But I've seen parents, for example, who tell their children, you go and read your books. You always tell them you go and read. They have never seen you read any book before. So the law of visualization, you must walk the talk and give them room to express themselves and to also engage. And then number five is a love trust. A teen will pretend and lie if he doesn't trust you enough to handle his mistakes. So earn his trust and build intimacy lest they start pretending. You know what lie is for many teenagers? Lie means I don't trust you enough to be able to handle the truth or handle my truth. That's why a lot of teenagers lie. Yeah. Because I usually like to say this: to reap trustworthiness, you must sow trust. To reap trustworthiness, you must sow trust. So it's important to sow trust in order to reap trustworthiness. Yeah. Let them know you trust them, and then they will live up to the expectations. Ultimately, they will. We need to rush. So now tell me, how many of you want to become team coaches? If you're here, this interests you, want to become a team coach, please type yes in the chat box. I want to see how many of you are with me on this journey. How many of you want to become team coaches? Type yes in the chat box. Okay, me, yes. Alrighty, beautiful. Welcome on board. Excited. Yeah, because this is actually launching you into that journey of team coaching. Yeah, launching into that journey of team coaching, because we need a lot more team coaches than we currently have. The work is enormous. I can tell you that for free. The work is enormous. So welcome on board, beautiful. Excited that a lot of us want to become team coaches. Now, team coaching is a global need for the following reasons. Number one, rising mental health concerns. I've already said this. There are rising mental health concerns, and that's one of the reasons why we need more teen coaches. So teen coaches can bridge the gap between formal therapy and self-help. Yeah, because sometimes what teens need is just coaching. Somebody to be there for them, somebody to listen to them, somebody to use tools, intervention tools to help them. What they need, well, that's what they might need. So we need to be that gap between formal therapy or psychotherapy and self-help. Yeah, because of course there was a research that came out many years ago that said there were only about 300 psychiatrists to the millions of people who are dealing with mental health issues in Nigeria. Of course, that number has increased a lot more now, but that's just to give you an idea of how there's a deficit in that industry. Number two is accelerated technological and societal challenges. Yeah, of course, we talk about the impact of technology and how society is changing and how we need team coaches who can help balance digital world with the real world, understand digital ethics, cope with unique tech-related stressors. Yeah, things like cyberbullying. We need more team coaches. There was a client who was referred to me because she was having serious anxiety. What was she having anxiety over? Because on a Facebook post of somebody, she commented and the person began to threaten that he was going to kill her. And because of that, she became anxious. Became really anxious to the point that she needed to speak to me. So these are things that we can begin to do as team coaches to bridge this gap. Then global and cultural integration as well. Yeah. The world has become a global village. Globalization is now a thing, and that we must all come to terms with. And because of that, now, for example, there's a lot of migration going on from one country to the other. And I can give you examples of how, I've helped teenagers just properly handle that transition from one country to the other, because it can have a devastating effect. I've told you about how that can affect individuals. It affects adults, talking about teenagers. Yeah, there was a boy who was referred to me because he wasn't able to properly handle the transition. His personality is that of what we call a dependable truck, and then he also lost a lot of friends, here in Nigeria. They moved to the UK, lost a lot of friends. Now he doesn't even know how to cope in this new environment he has found himself, and is lost, is withdrawn, is battling with self-esteem issues. These are things that team coaches can do to help to bridge that gap, to embrace that diversity, right? In the midst of globalization, because we are going to continue to have these kind of challenges. So we need team coaches who can help bridge that gap. Then increased academic and career pressures as well. Yeah, there's a lot of pressure. We said this already. Coaches can provide guidance, stress management techniques, and help teams discover their passions and strengths in a high pressure environment. Then the need for resilience and adaptability. Of course, I've also shared this. A lot of teenagers are struggling with resilience, especially in this age and time. They're not able to have the tenacity to deal with challenges. And that's where coaches can also begin to help them to develop these life skills that they need to survive in challenging times wherever they find themselves. So, as we begin to round off tonight, what is coaching? The International Coaching Federation defines coaching as partnering with clients. Now, take note, with partnering with clients in a thought-provoking and creative process that inspires them to maximize their personal and professional potential. The process of coaching often unlocks previously untapped sources of imagination, productivity, and leadership. You see, so now you must, and that's why this team coaching course is a must for everyone, because a lot of times people usually think coaching is advice. Coaching is not advisory. Coaching is not advisory. They just think, oh, it's not just to be advising people. No, sir. It is not advising people. It is actually partnering with clients in a thought-provoking and creative process that inspires them to maximize their personal and professional potential. To say that in the coaching process, the coach sees the client as one who has the potential to live to his highest good, and then helps that client to tap into that potential and bring it out through self-awareness and intervention tools to help them be the best of themselves. That's what coaching is about. Coaching is not telling people what to do. Oh, just like I watched a video many years ago where somebody came to see a therapist, and the person said, I'm dealing with, I think, anger also. What should I do? And the therapist shouted, stop. The person was confused. And went ahead to explain themselves. Say, I'm dealing with this challenge. The therapist said, stop. And said, okay, are you saying I should stop talking right now, or I should stop being angry? The therapist said, stop. A lot of times people think that's what coaching is about. Just be telling people do's and don'ts. That's not what coaching is about. Yeah, it's about tapping into the sources of imagination, raising the awareness of your client to a point where they gain insight into their problem and tap into their potential to solve their problem. So what's the coaching process? Number one, create rapport, developing a relationship. That's what rapport is. Rapport is simply developing a relationship. A presupposition in neurolinguistic programming says anything is possible in the presence of rapport. Anything is possible. In fact, research has proven that the relationship between a coach or a therapist and the client is more important than the intervention tools that the therapist or coach has to help the client. So if one coach has a lot of tools to help a client and the other doesn't, all he knows is how to create rapport, how to develop a relationship, form a relationship with his client, you will have more success than the other guy who has tools but doesn't know how to create rapport. Then number two, administer assessment, preferably a data-driven assessment and understand the root cause, which is something you are going to learn a lot or get a lot during the teen coaching certification course. We are going to bombard you with assessments upon assessments so that you are no longer doing trial and error. You are now, nailing things on the head. You are administering assessment, discovering the root cause, and you know exactly what you're dealing with. I was having a session with somebody recently, and the person said to me, nobody, he said, I've seen at least 3 therapists in the past. He said, no one has ever given me an assessment. I was like, oh, wow. And this person was a doctor. So I asked, in your practice, do you choose that diagnosis? Then said, no. I said, that's how a therapist or a coach is supposed to also be. You're supposed to diagnose first before administering intervention. Then review reports and establish mutually agreed upon goals and objectives. So when you collect this data, you analyze it, and then you can come up with goals. Because it's from the assessment you now know, okay, what the problem really is. Because sometimes the problem is not the problem. Somebody can come to you with a masturbation problem, and actually the problem is a self-esteem problem. Yes, that is masking itself in masturbation. Somebody can come with a pornography problem, and the problem is actually a childhood trauma that they have not dealt with. That's why assessment and diagnosis is important. And then finally is to establish and develop an implementation plan after you have established those goals and objectives, to now say what are the intervention plans. So in this course, what I think you're going to learn: the inner workings of the adolescent brain. I've told you that already. Tools for diagnosing adolescent behavior and strategies to maximize their potential. Understanding adolescent love maps to strengthen bonds with parents. Techniques for healing the inner child in adolescents. In fact, in this session, you are also going to learn how to heal your inner child, because hurting coaches will also hurt others. Then you're going to learn the ethics of adolescent coaching. You are also going to get what we call PIPER tools: parental involvement cycle, social awareness tools, effective coaching frameworks, and interviewing styles, right? Because one of the things you must learn in the first session, we usually call it an intake interview session, where you are interviewing, you are getting data, learning from the client what exactly they are going through, doing a bit of history taking a look at that. These are things you're going to learn. Then helping parents and adolescents master their emotions. Some are going to learn. In fact, you're going to be given a tool called meta emotions that helps you to gauge the emotional intelligence of your client and how their upbringing was able to affect that. You're going to learn conducting teens. You're going to learn how to conduct teens inductory assessments. You're going to learn how to manage adolescent traumas, triggers, and stressors. You're going to learn crisis counseling techniques, tools, and therapy for handling various crisis situations, and so much more. Who's excited? Who's excited? If you're excited, type "I'm excited" in the chat box. Type "Yes, I'm excited." So now, the teen coaching results model. What does it say? It says there's comprehensive assessment to accurately diagnose the real issue, review session to clarify the challenge, and then there's PIPER assessments give results that it is taking, and then data is gotten from there. Now, data has constantly shown that the root of many adolescents are ignorance of adolescent brain, ignorance of behavioral management, ignorance of personality and attachment styles. You're going to learn attachment styles. And for teenagers, I know a lot of us know it as adults, we're going to learn it for teenagers, how it applies to teenagers. Ignorance of parental patterns, often powered by beliefs. These are the things you're going to learn. Yeah. Excited. I can see, yeah. I can see we're all excited. Now, what's our goal? Our goal is actually to produce the most competent teen coaches humanity deserves, and to assist them become highly profitable across board. You heard the testimonials of the people who came here earlier to share, what they are doing, how they're impacting lives. See, this is a threefold result you're going to get. With this coaching course, you are going to make impact, you are going to garner influence, and you're also going to make income. So it's impact, influence, and income. That's what you are getting from this program. So these are the criteria for graduation. 60% compulsory in class attendance. Oh, sorry, I lost that slide. Okay, let's go back to it. So 60% compulsory in class attendance, submit compulsory home place, graduate an associate coach, fulfill your conditions for certification, then appear for defense and become a certified adolescent teen coach. That's really all it takes. The teen coach is a pipeline between the parents and the teen's ability to effectively navigate the teen years consistently. You are the bridging gap. You are the person who these teenagers have been waiting for all along. Your time has come. Now, if they are schools, then your services are needed. If they are government agencies, your services are needed. If they are religious organizations, your services are needed. If they are families, your services are needed. Wherever teens are found is where a teen coach is needed. Yeah. Coach Joy, for example, was telling me how that she has plans to work with schools this year. You know, having worked with families over the years and all of that. So these are things we are talking about. The opportunities are enormous. They're enormous. They're enormous. So I want to implore you to sign up today and become a highly paid teen coach and strategist from February, from this month. Now, here are the offers. Guess what? 2025, the price for this course was $300K. In 2026, it has increased to $400K. But if you are attending this webinar, you are getting it for the price of last year. Yes, you are getting it for the price of last year, which is $300K. In fact, a more juicy offer for you, if you are here, is you can pay a one-time fee of $255K if you are attending this class. Now, this is the last time it's going to happen. After this batch of students we are going to have, we are not going to be having this anymore. Nobody's going to pay $300K or $255K anymore. It's going to be $400K going forward. And you can check with the next batch of students and see what we are talking about. So in this batch, you have a one-time fee of $255K. But you also have the option of installments. If you want, I don't have $255K, to pay for this class right now. I want to pay an installment. We have got you covered. Number one, you need to deposit $150,000, which is about $103, and spread the balance of $180,000, which is about $124 in 3 months. Right? So $150,000 is $103 deposit, and spread the balance of $255K. That is $155K in 6 months. So if you want to do the 3 months plan, or you want to do the 6 months plan, any of them that works for you, it's your option. It's your choice rather, right? A link is going to be provided right now, where you will click on it, and then you can choose the options that best suits you. Yes, there are options that best suits you that you can choose from when you click on the link. Let me ask you a question. Who is joining us in class this February? If you're part of those joining us in class this February, can I hear you say yes? Yes. Want to see those who are joining us? Say yes in the chat box. Oh, yes. I can see you. Jennifer said, Mom, I'm not sure I get that. Bridget says yes. Busayo says yes. Zintil says yes. Yeah, keep that coming. Yeah. Keep that coming. Yes, from Kenya, beautiful. This class is fully virtual, so it means that it's not a physical class, so you can attend from anywhere you are in the world. Anywhere you are in the world. Let me tell you something. See, you will make much more than whatever it is you are investing in this class for free. But I'm sure that we are not doing this because of the money. Yeah, you're doing it because of impact. You really want to impact teenagers. But I'm even telling you that you're going to make much more than it. Yeah. And you can ask any of the coaches who have taken this course, and they can tell you that in fact, the money you are paying for this course is something you can make in one day. Yes, it's something you can make in one day. The class holds once every week, right? For about 2 hours, once every week for a period of about 12 weeks. That's how it works. 2 hours once a week. It runs virtually on Zoom every Thursday, 7 to 9 p.m. West African time. Faith, yes, okay. Helen says, what's the condition for certification? I already shared that. You need to complete your homework assignment, do what we call community infusion, make sure you complete about 70% of attendance, and come for defense, and you're certified. Yeah. If somebody's saying, but this is expensive, the question is compared to what? Compared to what exactly? Yeah. What if I want to plan towards it? What if I want to plan towards it, save it up? Of course, click on the link and choose any of the payment of any of the options that you want to. What if I want to save for next class? You can, but like I said, the price for next class is actually increasing, so it's no longer going to be the same amount for next class. So it's important to take advantage of what we are sharing today, so that you can maximize this. Okay. So you want to learn more about the Teen Coaching course? You can visit our website, on Instagram as well. Send us an email on the email address on your screen. Phone number, which is WhatsApp enabled. Reach out to us today. If you have any questions, please, you can ask. Send the chat box, or if you can even raise up your hand, and then we would give you the opportunity to ask your questions. Yeah. We have 72 hours to enjoy this discount. So this discount we shared here ends in the next 3 days. After 3 days, we revert back to the usual fee. 255K one-time payment, right? And if you want to pay in installments, you can also do that. This is going to be a lifetime investment. This is going to be something you will never regret, right? Something I've never regretted myself. I can tell you for free that you're going to just thank me. You're going to thank me and thank every one of us for bringing this your way. Okay? So I want to believe that you've learned something today. We'll hand you over back to our able compare coach Joy Deborah Essen. Over to you.
Wow. Thank you so much, Coach Miracle. Thank you for that. Wow. If you're still here, I just wanted to drop something that stood out for you while we take questions. If you have a question, something that has been on your mind, something that you want to clarify that was said in the webinar, please let's take it very quickly before we end the meeting. But that was amazing. Yes, Jumi. Jumi is appreciating our coach. All right. I know that we are still, it's a lot to take in, and I'm sure that we are still trying to process everything. But let's talk. Share something Something that you learned from today's webinar. Something you learned from today's webinar. Or any other question. Anything you want to ask about it, this is your moment to ask. Okay, this is your moment to ask. Yes, Mrs. Gideon, your question has been answered in the chat box. All right. So please, if you are not really clear about what to do concerning the payment, chat our admin. The numbers to chat are on the screen, or you can just go out there, click the link. The link will take you to the payments that you can make. But I can tell you for free that this particular course, it's an investment that you want to make. All right. It's time that you move beyond just using your head to figure out, oh, what is wrong with this adolescent? And that's why you will see that somebody, when I talk to teachers and some counselors in school, they'll say, oh, we'll be talking to this child, nothing is happening, the child is being stubborn, the child doesn't hear word. Well, it is not about the child not hearing word. Something is sustaining the behavior. And that is what you need to get to. When you are able to find what is sustaining the behavior, it is very possible for you to find the solution. This course is not a course that it's not a guesswork. It's not cut and join. It is full, it is a full-blown course. Explanation is there. It is evidence-based. It is rooted in science. That's one of the things I love about this course, is that the evidence are there. You can test and you can see. When I first took the course and I did an assessment for a child, before even the parent told me certain things about the child, I went to ask the parent, I said, is your child this? And the parent was like, wow, how did you know this particular thing? It was just the assessment. You will when you are reading the diagnostic from the assessment, people will be shocked. Sometimes even the teenager that was uptight before, they're like, it's like what we call native medicine here. But I can tell you that this would definitely elevate your teen coaching game. I'm a living example. I was one of the very first sets, and the knowledge I have gotten from this particular training is what I'm still using now in my private practice. All right. So, okay, let me just go through some of the questions in the chat box. From Coach Miracle's presentation, I could identify with many things as a parent. Yeah. A whole lot that you will just see. Imagine what the course would look like when we begin this month. This for 9 weeks back to back, 12 weeks. We are going to be sitting down in class, just learning, interacting with people that are knowledgeable in this particular field. All right. So Olani Pekun says, thank you so much for this exclusive session. It's really worth the price. Just that I'm really rich right now. Really look forward to taking the course. All right. So there's one thing that we always say here. Not, oh, I can't afford it, but how can you afford it? There's always a way. And if there's one thing I would really appreciate the Institute for, is that there is a payment plan. There is a payment plan. So the fact that you can't, you might look at what's in your bank account. You have the desire. You know that, okay, I just need a bit of time. How much can you make? What down payments can you make? This is something that you want to just think through, because like he said, if you say that it's expensive, to what exactly? There is no price for ignorance. There is no price. Imagine if, as a parent, things that you're supposed to have been able to deal with from this knowledge. Imagine if you now have to pay extra for you're paying for rehabilitation, things that you might have been able to identify before it gets full blown. And trust me, this course you think is expensive. How many of you have ever had to pay for therapy? I'm not talking of just any therapy now. I'm talking of when you have to rehabilitate someone. It is not cheap. It is not cheap. There are things that this course would help you prevent when you take it. All right. So please just think about it. You still have 72 hours to take the offer. Think about it and go for it. Go for it. Go for it. This is something that you need for this particular year. Does this class hold once? It holds twice in a year. All right. I gained value already. I can imagine what is to come in the course. Thank you, sir. Yes, I can tell you it is going to be worth it. All right. So I've seen all the questions. I see the crypto options there. I will take advantage of that. I'm excited about the course already. Wow. Okay, can't wait to see you. Is the certification, I think the question, thank it's being answered. So yes, it is recognized internationally. IFED is a body that is known worldwide. Can I make a down payment of 100K? So there are numbers there. Please make sure you are chatting the correct number. I'm begging you. Don't allow anybody to scam you. Chat the correct number. Our Instagram handles are also available there. You can just click the link, all right, at IFED Academy. Find out more information. You can chat an admin there. So please, I encourage you to make sure you are getting your information from the proper channel so that you don't fall victim to scam. All right. Zintel said, I learned not to jump into conclusions regarding the sapiens behavior, as I got to believe that people transform into something they never thought they would be due to the treatment they get for people around them. I'm really grateful for this session. I'm turning 19 this year. Do I qualify for teen coaching course? I'm so passionate about this. I never went to any therapist and I haven't healed. I think we might need to, um, I think you have some personal questions you might want to add. So you can send a message to the admin. You're talking about you've not healed about something there. All right. I'm looking forward to helping other teens because I never had someone to confide in. Yeah, yeah. Many of us were just, some of us were used for trial and errors by the adults in our life. Some people, when they thought they were helping us, they were just making the problem worse because they didn't know any better. And many of us, it was just, just God that saved us, that somehow we found our way. We just found our way because it could have been bad without proper guidance. But we're here and we know better and we want to get equipped so that we can help the next generation of teenagers because they're counting on you. There are a lot of teenagers that will never come to that fullness or get to understand themselves, get to experience the full version of themselves because an adult around them did not take that initiative to impact them, to do something for them. Because this is an age where they are searching, they have questions. Will you be that adult that will be there for them, that would answer those questions, that would guide them through one of the most turbulent times of their lives? All right. They're counting on you. Your world, your generation is counting on you to impact these young people where you find them. Okay. Must people come? Okay, I see another question. Must people come to you before you coach them? Okay, Coach Miracle, do you want to answer that question? I think it's from your question of coaching. Most people come to you before you coach them.
How will you coach them again? How else will you coach them if they don't come to you? They have to come to you now. You have to, of course, now devise strategies on how to make them come to you. But there's something about, people, you can't force coaching down the throats of people. So people need to come to you. Coming to you is therapeutic in itself. Yeah.
Okay. Then we have a 19-year-old wondering if they qualify to take this particular course.
Why not? Why
okay.
not? I started coaching teenagers when I was a teenager myself. So of course I wasn't certified, but I was doing the much that I could at the time with the knowledge that I had. So if a 19-year-old wants to be certified, why not? I was 26 years old when I became certified as a family life professional. So age is a number.
Age is just a number. All right, we have a few more minutes to go. And I'm sure that we've learned a lot. Okay. I'm trying to go through the chat to be sure I don't miss anyone's question. Okay, for meeting coaching is a calling. I guess there's nowhere else to shine but right here. Grateful from Lesto. Definitely enrolling. Yay. Please let's see your name. I think it's just your phone name we can see. You're welcome on board. We can't wait to have you join us. All right. At this point, we're still here are still here for you. Okay, Joseph is saying, good evening, great people. Well done. This is great job. Unfortunately, I can't be passing through it, and I would love to know if I get the recorded version of this engagement so that I can have a good picture of this course to decide if I am to subscribe for it. So we also streamed on YouTube. We also streamed on YouTube. You can visit our YouTube channel. I think let me be sure of the exact name. iFed Academy. So just check up iFed Academy on YouTube. So where you can get it, you can just watch the replay on YouTube. And there's a link here already that you can just go through. So iFed is IFED Academy at iFed Academy on YouTube. Just search for it. You would see the replay. All right. Thankful for the eye opener. Hope I will be able to get trained to acquire a certificate when I raise funds. We're here for you. All right. We're here for you. Okay. So thank you everybody for joining. Thank you so much for being a part. Thank you once again to our coach. We appreciate you. We appreciate your wealth of knowledge that you shared. And I know that a lot of us have begun to see things differently, even from this webinar. So I wish us all a very wonderful week ahead. And for those that are joining us, welcome, congratulations. Your life is about to change. Your wealth of knowledge is about to increase again. So we cannot wait to have you. All right, so from me and from all of us, it is good night. But if you still have questions, please, our handles are there. Please reach out to us. We are still available. If you are on the WhatsApp group, you can send a message to the admin for further questions. All right. So just make sure that somehow you get in touch with us. We're on Instagram at iFed Academy. All right. So you can send your questions there. Okay, everyone. Good night. Good night. Good night. So you can.
This step to know what I know now, and it's been a wonderful time, though tedious, though what word do I want to use? It was tough trying to. This is one of the toughest courses I've done in my entire life. It was really tough for me trying to meet up with the deadlines. It got to a time I couldn't sleep because I hate missing deadlines. Sleep, like I was just on this case, and thank God I was able to pull through. And I learned something that in trying to meet the deadlines, it made me sit down to actually study the report. So I studied the report to the extent that I understood. Well, if I hadn't been given that deadline, I might not have sat with it to get to know what I was, because I needed to interpret, not just to write and submit. I needed to know what I was saying. I needed to personalize it, to interpret it, to make it a part of me. And there was a day someone asked a question on the group about personality and something, and I was able to respond without going through my notes. So that was when I knew that, yes, I've been impacted, and I'm grateful. I'm actually grateful.
It's been quite educative, it's been informative, it's been transformative for me. I really enjoyed the class. The whole 12 weeks, I look forward to each of the Thursdays. And looking at it, the journey so far, I have a lot of young adults and adolescents that always come to me for advice and the rest. I know in church I work with some, but going through this, I'm more confident, working with them, because I know we are being handed over the best tools you can use to assess and like get to the root cause of the challenges the youth are facing. And the attachment style really exposed my eyes to a lot of things, because I see a lot of trauma bonding, but because I don't have a clear understanding of what was going on, the attachment style like exposed me to that kind of knowledge that I'm able to pick it immediately when I'm speaking with teenagers now or adolescents. There are a lot of things they will share even without getting to the core problem. I'm already like, when I like psychoanalyzing, I'm already beginning to pinpoint why they are being anxious or they are being clingy to people around them. So the emotion coaching as well has really helped me as a person. I'm not the type that I'm a peaceful person, but in relationship with my children, I've been able to emotion coach them really. Now we have a lot of peace in our interacting with each other when we talk, and when we are trying to, maybe we are in a family meeting and everybody wants to bring out, share his own perspective to issues that is being raised. So that kind of moderating the emotion around my family, that one has helped me. I know that I empathize a lot, but this also have like helped me to move further. So there are some things, behaviors I do see now. It doesn't just like treat me so fast. I sit down to reflect more why they behave the way they behave. So for me, this has been an amazing work. It has been a journey that I know that what we paid to gain, whatever the knowledge we've gained, is just like a little compared to what we like receive here with us. So looking at the whole package, I would say that it's massive. The tool we have in our hand is a great one that when we go out in the world around us, we are able to have a great impact. So I just want to say a big thank you. So that play therapy again is something I embrace so wholeheartedly. You know, I'm the kind that wasn't too playful. So I'm beginning now to be more intentional, to like incorporate play at times.